What's poppin', guys? Welcome back. I know it's been a hot minute since I've made a video, which I apologize about, but after reading Rebel Clash, I am super excited to give you guys my top 10 cards, regardless if the season is over or not. People still play PTCGO. People are running PTCGO tournaments. None of these cards are rotating, guys, so I believe this information is still viable for you, and you guys might want to know it to kind of figure out what cards you want to pick up in the meantime. So with that being said, let's get into our top 10 cards. So at number 10, I have Scoop Up Net, guys. It's an item card. I'm ecstatic for this card for a couple reasons. One, I like stall. I like playing annoying decks in Expanded. I'm one of those people. I apologize. But Scoop Up Net reads, return one of your Pokemon in play except Pokemon V and Pokemon GX to your hand. Discard all cards attached to that Pokemon. So that means that you can deny a prize and stall and still be able to play a draw supporter, a gust supporter, a energy denial supporter. There's so many more options that you have that took up that supporter place playing A to Z or Acerola. Now I still feel like in some decks we'll probably still see Acerola, but A to Z I don't think we're gonna see that much anymore. So I'm super excited to see this card come into play. Now talking about standard, I'm not quite sure if this card is going to be used quite yet. Now that we're about to see a spread deck, maybe some people will start playing it, but I feel like this is probably something we're gonna see more in Expanded than standard. Moving on to number 9. So number 9 is Galar Mine. So Galar Mine is a stadium that you can play. The card reads, each player's active Pokemon retreat cost is 2 colorless more. And why I put this on my list is moving on to card number 8. Milotic V. Now, Milotic V sits at 210 HP, which is pretty standard for a V Pokemon, but more importantly, the attack on this card is Aqua Impact. It is one water and 2 colorless, base damage 10 plus. It reads, this attack does 50 more damage for each energy in your opponent's active Pokemon's retreat cost, okay? So I have a couple problems with this card. I still think it's a good card, and it potentially could be very good, and the playability on this card highly depends on how fast this card can go, and I'll tell you why. There's a lot of puzzle pieces we need to put on the board in order to get an OHKO here, alright? So let's look. Let's use something with 270. I feel like 270 is a pretty solid damage output that you want to hit, especially since we have like more chunkier Pokemon coming into play. We can't really OHKO anything, and almost everything is going to be OHKOing you at this point, sitting at 210. All right, but let's use Mew Mew for example. That's a very good deck that I think is still going to see a lot of play. It has two retreat costs, right? So right now, without any puzzle pieces on the board, we're at 110. Let's take it a step further. Let's play down Galar Mine. That brings it up to 4 retreat costs, so we're at 210. And let's say we play an Absol on the bench, all right? So that's 260. That's 1 damage off. Now, you can play Vitality Band. You could put down another Absol, but again, that's just another puzzle piece to put on the board. Stadiums can be bumped so easily, too. We have Guzmahala to grab it when we need it, but again, we don't have a way to grab the supporter to grab it. So like this, I feel like it's okay, and it just depends on how fast it can go. Another negative side about this card is that it's weak to electric. It's weak to electric, and we have Pikarom, guys. Pikarom is still super good. I don't think Pikarom's going anywhere, on top of the fact that we're going to go ahead and move on to card number 7 and 6, kind of tie into why that this weakness isn't that great, all right? So pause, let's go to 7 real quick, which is Garbodor. We're using this for this ability, Poison Pile. Once during your turn, if there is a stadium card in play, you may make your opponent's active Pokemon poisoned. And why is this good? Because we have Toxtricity Vmax. It's sitting at 320 HP, which is a bulky boy. It's attack Gmax Riot for 2 electric and 1 colorless. If your opponent's active Pokemon is poisoned, this attack does 80 more damage, alright? So we're sitting at 240 damage, and once you pass turn with poison, that's 250. We run into the same problem. We need more puzzle pieces to knock out that 270 or higher, or even like with ADP is sitting at 280 to knock out any of those cards. We're going to need another puzzle piece, which is probably Electro Power. Electro Power is a good way to go ahead and bump that up. Granted, I guess you knock some stuff out if the poison sticks, if they're not able to retreat. Pass and then pass again, you're sitting at 270 after that, but we need to be fast in this format, guys. We got Welder, we got Pikarom, and all kinds of fast stuff like that. We have Malamar, so I feel like that it might be too slow to make it, and I feel like just Pikarom is just the better option here for electric, although I think this will be fun to toy around with. Moving on to card number 5, we have Eldegoss V. So I was really tempted to put this lower on my list, but I also don't want to jip it because I think it's a good card and it might just be a one of in some decks. So the HP we're not going to worry too much about. We're not using this Pokemon to attack, but we're using the ability Happy March. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to your bench, you may put a supporter from your discard into your hand. So this card in itself is a consistency card. It's a recovery card and a consistency card. If you get rid of your resources too early because you had to, you can grab a Gust supporter for game. You can grab a draw supporter to get the last couple pieces that you need for game, as well as it kind of helps against a mill if you really want to take the extra step here and look at its attack blown away. You may shuffle this Pokemon and all cards attached to it back into your deck, and it does 50 damage, all right? So if you're sitting at like that 10 or that 5 left in your card, like in your deck against a mill, you can throw a couple extra cards there, all right? So you can attach twice, maybe throw a tool on it or something. That in itself is 4 cards you're shuffling back into your deck, which I think it's pretty solid. Now, I'm not sure if we're going to see this in every single deck. I don't know if we're ever going to see this at all, but it's like a little VS seeker, and we don't really have anything that will consistently always be able to shut off abilities, so I don't feel like this is a bad card, guys. I feel like this is a good card. So we might see it as maybe a one of in some decks, but like I said, we'll see. This is the only card I'm kind of like, about. I think it's a good card, I just don't know how good it is yet. Now moving on to number 4. We have Horror Psychic Energy, which I'm super stoked for this card. When the active it's a special energy card, let me clarify. When the active psychic Pokemon this card is attached to takes damage from an opponent's Pokemon's attached, put 2 damage counters onto the attacking Pokemon. Now that moves us into number 3, okay? This is why this card is extra good. Not only can you play it onto Mewtwo to chip damage, you could play it onto Dragapult Vmax, and it's sitting at a chunky 320 HP. Alright, we're going to look at its main attack, which is Max Phantom. It does 130 damage, and you can put 5 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon any way you like. So we got a spread deck going on, guys, and we have lots of pieces to put into it. We could play Giratina if you absolutely wanted to. You could play Spell Tag onto this guy. Horror Psychic Energy also puts damage onto the active. Even if it's knocked out, you still put 2 damage counters on the active Pokemon. There's no way to remove that Horror Psychic Energy. So, I mean, unless you get lucky with the Crushing Hammer, you know? So, it's super, super good, and you can drop a couple Espers in the deck and then just do cleanup later on and just take a bunch of prizes as a 1-prize attacker. I'm super excited to see this deck. I think it's going to be really good. The weakness is dark. We haven't seen a lot of dark decks do consistently good in the past couple tournaments or recently even on ladder. So I don't know, I'm really excited for this. This is probably one of the first decks I'll build once this set comes out. On top of the fact, I do want to just point out, it also has the move Shred for 1 Psychic Energy, which is super good, underrated attack. We've seen Shred on multiple different like Pokemon cards beforehand. It does 60 damage, and it goes through any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So I think that's just good in itself. It's a really good secondary attack. Now, we're going to move on to number 2, and God bless, hallelujah, we have Tool Scraper back. Goodbye balloons, goodbye skateboard, goodbye spell tag, goodbye stealthy hood, God bless, be gone. I have a way to get rid of it now. I have been missing field blower so much, guys. I never want to play Faba. Nobody likes playing Faba. All right? I think that was the only way to get rid of tools and special energy, right? God bless. There's been, like, I could have had games if I could, like, knock off, you know, like frying pans, for example, too, you know? So I'm really glad to see that there's a way for us to kind of move around tools again in standard, because once that tool went down on the board, it wasn't really going anywhere, and that kind of sucked big time. So I'm really happy to see Tool Scraper. Now, my feelings on card number 1, which we'll move on to now, Boss's Order. Man, this card's so bittersweet. I think it's more bitter than sweet, though. I was okay with flipping for Gust or Ninetales or whatever, but this card in itself is Lysander if you've played this format before, alright? This card is a guaranteed Gust supporter. You just pick whatever you want on the bench of your opponent and bring that boy up, and there you go. We have Boss's Order for game again, which is very unfortunate. I was okay with flipping a coin or getting 2 cards to pick whatever, using a great catcher to discard or whatever. I felt like that was okay. I felt like you needed to get a little bit extra, but at a cost of a supporter, I don't know, man. That's where I feel like this Eldegoss card kind of gets a little bit better. What if you get rid of your Boss's Order? We don't have a way to get, like, seek out Boss's Order, right? We have a way to seek out Eldegoss. So if you can discard Boss's Order from the get-go and make sure you have a bench space available and just drop down the Eldegoss whenever you need that Boss's Order and just go for game. Oof. But yeah, so I guess that's my number 1 card. I think that's everybody's number 1 card. I don't think that's a surprise for anybody. That will definitely be played in every single deck. But needless to say, those are my top 10 cards from Rebel Clash. Now, I super duper appreciate you guys sitting here and listening to me babble about a children's card game. I hope I gave you some good information to munch on. Try to figure out what your buy list is for this set. Maybe join us on one of my Twitch streams. I usually stream Monday through Friday under the same user as my YouTube. At 8 p.m. Eastern until whenever, usually midnight at Eastern is when I end. But we play lots of PTCGO and we deck build and all that jazz. Hopefully I'm going to be more active here on YouTube, as I do miss making videos. So with that being said, until next time, see you guys.